as I was writing the talk for today and thinking about it, and I write it like 3 or 4 times over the course of like 3 days, 3 4 days. And this morning, as I was kind of rewriting it for the last time, an old story came to mind, and it ties to stepping beyond limits and holding on long enough to get through and being persistent and moving through into something new and stepping into stuff that we really didn't think we could do. But we have the innate, inherent ability and capability to achieve. So the story goes like this. A farmer, a chicken farmer, or farmer, whatever you want to do, finds a baby eagle randomly out on his property and brings it home, throws it in with the chickens, trusting that the eagle will do what eagles do, right? Grow up and be an eagle. Well, the eagle grows up thinking it's a chicken. And so a forestry guy, ranger, comes wandering about one day and looks at the farmer, sees the eagle and says, "What's the eagle doing with the chickens?" And he sees the eagle scratching around, looking for food and all that. And so he talks to the farmer and he picks the eagle up and says, "Okay, we're going to go take care of this." He grabs the eagle and puts him in the truck and he drives out into the field and puts the eagle out and says, "Go on, you're an eagle. Go be an eagle. Spread your wings, fly. You belong to the air. You belong to the sky. Go be an eagle." And the eagle looks around, hops on the ground, starts scratching around for food. He picks the eagle up and he goes up to a hilltop, takes the eagle out, puts him in the back of the truck, and says, "Hey, man," kind of shakes around. "Hey, go be an eagle." Tries to set him free to go be an eagle, and he just won't do it. Just won't do it. And so he goes a ways off. He sees a mountaintop, and he says, "All right, we're going." Picks the eagle up, puts him in the truck, drives up to the top of the mountain, a couple hours away. Walks up to the top of this craggy cliff where he's got the wind. And he holds the eagle up so the eagle can feel the wind blowing through his feathers. And all of a sudden, something wakes up inside the eagle. And he flaps his wings, and he feels the wind, and he feels his strength, and he remembers that he's an eagle. Hops free and flies away. So, I think you get the point. So often we accept limitations. We accept ideas based on what we've been surrounded by, what we've been taught, what we've been told. And it's not good, bad, or otherwise. It simply is. It simply is. Now, no matter how we feel, what we believe to be true about how our past has unfolded, we are here now. No matter what we've been told about who we have been, what we have done in the past, we stand here today in this moment, free to make choices, free to change the story that we've been telling ourselves about who and what we are. We can create that story, that idea, that consciousness about who and what we are more expansive, more freeing, or we can bind ourselves down even further if we want to by way of our choices, our thoughts, and our ideas, and the story that we tell ourselves. We can set ourselves free, or we can bind ourselves even further. And I'm going to go back because I didn't shoot. You know, this morning's reading for the meditation speaks to this. I'm going to read a little bit of it again because not everybody was here for the meditation. So if you're here, you get to hear it again. It's from Catherine Ponder's Dynamic Laws of Healing. I didn't know this happens to be a signed book, signed copy by Catherine Ponder. As a matter of fact, pretty cool. Repetition of any word fixes it in mind and causes it to become a moving force in the body. She's talking specifically about physical healing, but it applies to any part of our lives, whether it's health, prosperity, relationships, whatever the words we are using with regard to any particular area of our lives, this applies. Thus, the power of repeating good, life-filled words for health and strength. Affirmation is your yes power for healing. To affirm means to make firm. Whatever words you constantly repeat, you are making firm in your mind and body. Emerson realized this when he wrote, "Every opinion reacts on him who utters it." What stories are we telling? In the movie Zootopia, our little rabbit friend, sweet little rabbit friend, is told when she's growing up, rabbits don't get to be police. Over and over and over again in the beginning of the movie, rabbits don't get to be police. Rabbits have never been police. And she's like, I don't care. I'm going to go be a police officer in Zootopia. And she lives out, in the country, farming carrots as rabbits do. But she has decided that she's not going to do that. She's going to be something more. It is in her, it is part of her to be something more. So, what is that something more? No matter where you are in life, no matter what point we are in life, what dream is it that is in you that is waiting to be birthed? And what dream maybe have you set aside, saying, you know what, not going to do that. I can't do that. I don't have the resources to do that. I don't have the time to do that. We get to change that story. We get to write that story, no matter what it is. Sean Patrick Flannery said this. It's not in there. He says, or maybe he did. I don't know. I lost track. Do something today your future self will thank you for. Do something today your future self will thank you for. I had to go look up who said that because a friend of mine's been using that quote the last couple of weeks in a couple areas conversations we've been having. Like, who said that? I know. But do something today your future self will thank you for. What little step, what little change in perspective can you in your life make today that you will be grateful for tomorrow or the next day or in the next week? What limiting idea of lack or limitation? What can't? What can't can you shift to a can? How can we turn that around? Because we have those opportunities all the time. We can reframe in any moment from an idea of limitation to holding something that says, I'm trying to think of a good example. Growing up in the house I grew up in, there was an unspoken rule that said peace at all cost. We were to keep the peace in the house. Nobody said it out loud, but it was accepted. We did not get loud. We did not argue loudly. We did not fuss and fight and fume with each other over this, that, and the other. We just didn't. And so it has taken me time to get used to and adjust to people close to me being loud, reacting strongly to situations that maybe don't go quite well or don't quite go according to plan. To just explosively screaming out of nowhere. I take it personally, or I have. Let me reframe. See, this is the thing, reframing, right? Up until now, or up until recently, I have taken situations like that personally, like I have done something wrong. And I'll walk around for half a day or a couple days thinking about that situation, not saying anything about it, but taking responsibility for that person's explosive reaction to something I had nothing to do with, other than being present in the space. Anybody else? Yeah. Not my responsibility, but because of the way, as a result, as an outcome of the way I was raised and the environment I was raised in and the unspoken rules that we had, now I have this thing to work through, or I have had this thing to work through. I'm much better about it today than I was even a week ago because I've taken the responsibility for myself to say, you know what? Not mine. And the more I do it, the more I work through it, the more I practice it, the better I am about it. So we get to change those things. No matter how many trips around the sun we've got, we get to change those things. We get to be a better human. Because there are no limitations on what we can achieve, other than those limitations we put on ourselves. I mean, we can't even say, as Paul Brandt says, we can't even say the sky's the limit anymore because there are footprints on the moon. Right? We get to shift that. We get to change that. Ernest Holmes says in The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes, the founder of Centers for Spiritual Living, says, wow, throat. He says, we are not separated from life. We are individualized centers of God consciousness. We are not separated from life. We are individualized centers of God consciousness. We get to say and determine the nature of our experience. Okay? We view our lives, I view my life, you view your life through the veil of your thoughts and beliefs. What I look for, what I expect, the intentions I set in terms of my beliefs, my thoughts, my ideas, the entire dominant tendency of my thinking drives how I view and experience the world, colors it, shapes it. So I get to ask myself, in the course of creating my life, in the course of drawing into my life experiences, I get to make decisions about how I participate, how I create, what I expect. Just like Steve shared in the gratitude, right? As soon as he that first job showed up, what happened? Because he developed a mental equivalent that said, I am employed. As soon as he got the one, what happened? Two more? 2 more show up because that mental equivalent was firmly entrenched in his consciousness. And isn't that the way it works? Right? All of a sudden, the flow of abundance, that flow of good into his life just opened up, and there it is. And so we get to be grateful for that. And that's how gratitude works as well. I know gratitude is a big part of Steve's practice. We start getting grateful for what's going on, even before it shows up, because we know it's a process, right? It's a whole process where we remove obstacles in our thinking. We remove thoughts of lack, of limitation, of pain, of suffering, and we trade them out for ideas of joy, ideas of happiness, ideas of gratitude for the prosperity, health, and wholeness that is already in our lives. It's already a part of who we are. We just have to get out of our own way long enough to let it happen. Be willing to receive it, to be willing to say yes to more and more life. And sometimes it just takes getting ourselves into the right situation, like the eagle, getting high enough up on the mountain to see clearly and feel the experience of, oh, yeah, man, I'm an eagle. I'm not a chicken. Nothing wrong with being a chicken, but I'm an eagle. And I get to be more, and I get to have this experience, this eagle experience of life, a more expansive view of the world, a more expansive view of myself that says, you know what? I am greater than I thought I was. I am more than that. I get to stand in the middle of my life and say and announce that this is who I am. This is what I am. Ernest Holmes goes on to write this. I wrote it small. We shall often need to know that the truth which we announce is superior to the condition we are to change. I'll say that again. We shall often need to know that the truth which we announce is superior to the condition we are to change. Conditions are outcomes. Conditions are manifestations. Like Ernest Holmes, Emma Curtis Hopkins, who Ernest Holmes studied with, Emma Curtis Hopkins would say to this, like this, we have to look a fact in the face and tell the truth about it. If there's a limiting fact that we are experiencing some illness, some limitation, some maybe absence of prosperity, or maybe I'm feeling poor, feeling like I don't have enough, I'm to look that in the face and say, you know what? No. The truth of me is I am a divine child of God. The truth of me is I'm spirit expressing. The truth of me is that I'm greater than this. My life is greater than this. I am health. I am wholeness. I am prosperous. Every need in my world is met now. Because at the level of spirit, there is no time and space. Everything is now. Now, 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 now. This is the truth of me. This is my experience. And I get to stand in the center of my life and express that and announce that because it's the truth. Because it's greater than any appearance. And I can look at it for the moment and say, you know what? No, this is not the truth. And I turn from it and I turn to the truth. Or I turn to the truth. And say, this is what I am. This is who I am. And this is the experience I choose to have in my life. You see, because Officer Hops decided that she was going to be a police officer, and she did. And she got out into Zootopia and became a police officer. And she started out writing traffic tickets, writing parking tickets. And they gave her she pushed through and she took an opportunity and they gave her a chance and she faced all these obstacles to overcome. And she kept saying, no, 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 no. I am greater than this. And in the end, she was a hero. I'm not going to give away the whole story because it's really fun. But it's all about overcoming obstacles and overcoming biases, overcoming the limiting stories we tell ourselves about who and what we are, or limiting stories we have up until now told ourselves about who and what we are. We get to change the story, change the script, because as we do that, our experience changes. We know this. We've proven this time and time again in our lives, and sometimes it gets real scary to face it. I know it gets scary to face it. Because we get comfortable. I have gotten comfortable at times, even in the midst of horrible habits, horrible ways of being, ways of living that I would not wish on my best friend, yet I accepted them for myself. And in even and deciding to let go of them was scary because they were familiar, they were comfortable, and it was a known quantity. And to let go of it and to step into something new meant I had to step into some unknown thing where maybe I didn't really know how to be. And I didn't know who I was going to be in those situations. But I chose to do it because I knew I wanted to be more than I had been up until that point. And it's not comfortable, and it's not always fun in the process. However, the end result is a much happier, healthier, joyful me that I am today. And I know many of you here in the space have done the same thing in your own lives and continue to do so even today. And if you happen to be in a place, if you're here in the space or out there on the internet, in the internet land today or next week or next month or tomorrow or whenever, if you are in a place where you feel like you want to step into something new and you want support, you want love, you want somebody to listen, somebody to talk to, we are here. Myself, Reverend Jill, Daniel, we are here for you. There are lots of ways to connect. Ernest Holmes goes on in The Science of Mind. If we are speaking from the standpoint of spirit, then there can be no opposition to it. It is only when we let go of all human will and recognize the pure essence of the spiritual principle incarnated in us that thought rises above the belief in duality. So let's spend a little bit of time with this one because there's a lot here. If we are speaking from the standpoint of spirit, then there can be no opposition to it. Speaking from the standpoint of spirit, that means I am spirit expressing. We understand that each of us is an individualized point of consciousness, an individualized point of expression of spirit itself. So when we are doing our work, when we're saying our affirmations, doing our affirmative prayer, our spiritual mind treatment, we are speaking as if we are that. And like in the previous quote, we are announcing that it's already done, that it's already fulfilled, because we speak of it as if it is already present, because in consciousness it is. And it is simply awaiting the opening to manifest. So when we stand in that place and speak like that, speak as if that, there can be no opposition. So we let go of our human will, our limited ideas of humanity, and recognize the pure essence of spiritual principle are incarnated in us. And when we stand in that place, there is no opposition. There is no separation. I'm talking about duality as separation, duality as me and something else. There is no something else. It's all us. It's all one. It's all connected. So when we stand in that place as a creative center, as a creative force in my life, there is no opposition. Nothing to stand in our way but ourselves. And our own limited ideas about who and what we are. Our own limited ideas about what we have thought up until now was possible. So we get to step through those limitations one at a time and declare something new. Start bringing it to a close here. One more quote. Ernest Holmes says this: "There must come a time in our experience when we speak the conviction that is within us." Oh man. I like this line. I think I grabbed this quote because I really like this line. So start at the beginning. There must come a time in our experience when we speak the conviction that is within us. Each of us has been furnished with a divine torch whose wick burns from the oil of the eternal and ever-renewing substance, faith in oneself and in others. The divine torch of faith. The fire that is inside of us that we light. Right? If I'm holding a candle and I light somebody else's candle, has my candle been diminished? No. I've just multiplied the light. From one candle to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. None of them is diminished. We keep feeding each other and bringing more light into this world. So we love and support and celebrate each other. We love and support and celebrate our lives. We have gratitude for our living. We have gratitude for the growth, gratitude for the good. Finding the good, letting go of the can'ts, the shouldn'ts, the wouldn'ts, the whatevers, all that limiting stuff, all the little boxes we put ourselves in. To say, you know what, just because because this is the way it's always been, again, because this is the way I was taught. This is the box I am limited to. Because this is what I've learned. You know what? No. Let go of the can'ts, let go of the wouldn'ts, the couldn'ts, the I've always beens. Let them all go. Because today we get to stand in the middle of our lives and announce the truth about who and what we are. We get to step through that into something more magical, magnificent, wondrous, whimsical. Pick a word. Pick a word that makes you smile and use that to describe your life. How would that feel? To wake up and say, you know what? Today I'm going to have some magic in my life. Today, God is a giggle. Because I get to say so. Right? I get to say so. And I get to celebrate that as me, as you, today. Okay? All right. It's that magical time for Q&A. Penny has a question or a statement or something.
Okay, so this vacation I knew was going to be great. I knew I was going to do whatever I wanted. I know that my sister and I are totally different, but I still was going to be me, and because that's who I am now, because I've really made an effort to be me. So when she would do something or she would say something that that's who she is and I'm not, it was funny because I kind of giggled inside because that's just who she is. Has nothing to do with me. I just kept being me, and I had such a great time because I just kept being me, and it was hilarious. In fact, it was hilarious at times, and I also kept my mouth shut a couple times because I knew it would have, because we don't have the same beliefs and stuff. So it was really fun seeing it all and not feeling bad about being me, and it was a great trip. It was such a great trip from all I've
Yay.
learned. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, can you handle that?
Oh, I would have.
Can you be the mic monitor?
Who's next?
Thank you. Who else would like to share?
Don't all raise your hands at once. Come on.
I'm willing to let it, I mean, we can let it go. We're good. All right, Steve's got something.
Turn around, face the
I appreciate you talking about everything being now, because in doing my practice and treatments and things like that, I was like, okay, I want it to feel like it's now, but it hasn't happened yet. So am I really there or am I not? So just to say now it all is, whether I see it or not, I have to have that as my truth.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Anybody else? Colette?
Okay, I'm going to put myself out there.
No.
um, as many of you know, last year I spent 4 months helping my ex-husband die, and it was such an experience for me. I couldn't just let it go. So when I would sit in meditation, I kept hearing, "You got a book in you. You got a book in you," and I would just ignore it. I talked to Joe about it a few times. I'm not an author. I'm an imposter when it comes to writing, I had thought. So I just contained myself and just, would dabble with it a little bit, put it down so many times and said, this is not for me. I can't do this. I don't know how to write a book. Different people encouraged me. And I'm happy to say I finished my story last week. It's at an editor right now. And it is so frightening because I put myself out there. I was so freaking vulnerable. I put stuff about myself that, oh gosh, I don't want people to see that I'm really this human. And my shadow side came out a bunch of times, and I wrote about that and things that I wasn't proud of myself. But I thought, well, if this helps somebody else go through this hard, scary, beautiful process, I got to do it. So I did.
Well,
Thank you.
Bravo. Wow, thank you. Bravo. Good for you. Good for you. Thank you. All right. Okay, we'll let it go. Good deal. Okay. All right. Practicing the principles for this week. First, together, let's just take notice. I'm just going to offer you to just take the time to notice. Don't judge it. Don't do anything with it, or other than maybe reframing it. Just notice when we are boxing ourselves in with language, when we are limiting ourselves, the can'ts, the shouldn'ts, I have always, in a limiting fashion. So let's take notice of that. And then second, take a moment to reframe it, right? To say, okay, you hear me do this all the time. Even here, it's like, up until now, this has been true. What that does is like freeze it up and saying, okay, going forward, it can be different. Or I used to, but I don't. Well, but now, So anytime we have those limiting thoughts, we have the opportunity, when we're conscious enough to catch it, we have the opportunity to reframe it and let it go. Let it be something different. So give those to you for this week. So let's take all of this and take it all into prayer as we begin to wrap it up today. And this morning we start with gratitude. Start with gratitude for our awareness, gratitude for being awake, gratitude for simply being right here, right now, knowing that all is well, that life is good and very good as each and every one of us. So I recognize the one power and presence that is God, infinite source, love, truth, peace, wholeness, and prosperity. And it is in this that I live, and it in me. The truth of my identity, the truth of my being is an ever expanding and growing love, an expression of infinite mind, of truth, of love. Every word, every thought, every idea I know is shaping my experience right here and right now. And so I call that experience good. I know that right here in this moment, I am perfect health and wholeness. That the divine idea of me is moving forward in an ever expansive way, sweeping aside any thought of lack, any experience of limitation, any experience other than the divine and perfect expression of me. And I know that is true for each and every person here in this space, everybody listening now or at another point, watching now or at another point. I know that all is well, that life is good as each and every one of us. And I so know that this blessing is true of each of us here, and of anybody celebrating, practicing their spiritual practice, no matter where they are, what they're doing. I know that each is blessed in this and every moment. And so with gratitude, we move forward, giving thanks, knowing that all is well and life is good. And so we let it be, and so it is.